Sometimes the world just needs a hero to help cut through all the noise.
Well, now you have two.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome to the Heroes of Noise. I am your host, Steve.
My name is Dan. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to show number 1.
Oh, son. Now, how you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, man. How you feeling? I'm excited.
I'm excited
too. Isn't that crazy? We're talking over each other already. We're so excited.
Now, do you want to kind of break in what we're doing here? What is our new groove? What the listeners have to look forward to?
Yeah, well, first of all, some of you, if you're hearing this, you're probably expecting an episode of The Word, which, for those of you that have never heard this before, Steve and I do a little show called The Word, the Unofficial Preacher Podcast, regarding, it's the companion podcast, if you will, to Preachers AMC. Not this show, ladies and gentlemen. This time around, and admittedly, this might be, try number 2, I think, right? This is our second attempt at this, getting it right.
Yes.
But this is our new show, guys. This is called episode. Fuck, how are we doing so far? Let's try that again. So, you know what, man? We got to get the kinks out, right, Steve? It's been a little bit. My tongue needs to, relax, so to speak.
Yes.
But if you've listened to us before, then welcome back, and I hope that you're going to dig what we're doing now. This is the Heroes of Noise podcast. And I don't know, do we have a mission, Steve? Do we want to go down that road, or do we just want to start talking and see what comes out?
Our mission is to hip you to everything that's important in entertainment, but more so everything that people skipped over that's important in entertainment. The stuff that we believe that our listeners would find interesting, not necessarily the overarching stuff, but the stuff that is beneath the surface. So our goal is to cut through all the noise and get to the actual substance of certain stories. So we hope that you stay with us as we enjoy this journey.
This is going to be one of those pop culture shows. In fact, that was the first thing we did. We tried to go and create something that was a little, well, it's been done a lot, I guess you could say. And we didn't really want to go down that path this time. So we're going to try something a little more freeform, a little different than what we're used to doing. Maybe it's even going to sound different, which I guess is probably a good thing because, both shows shouldn't sound the same. And I'm babbling, sure. Steve, so let's rock this shit and let's do it.
All right. What have you been watching? What have you been listening to? What's gotten your ear and eyes this week, brother?
Oh, man. I have been, you know what? Netflix has been my friend this week, and I've also I don't have a lot of new stuff to go over right now because I've been backtracking because I've fallen in love with HBO Go.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, man. So, folks, just to catch you up where I was late to the Game of Thrones. I did all the Game of Thrones on there. Thank you, HBO Go. I'm ridiculously hooked now. And so now I got to sit until, 2019 or 2018?
Good Lord, dude. 2019.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Freaking ridiculous, dude.
The new stuff that I've been watching. Now, Steve, I think you caught one of these or possibly 2 of them, but I absolutely love Big Mouth on Netflix.
I did. When you told me to watch it, mind you, when I see John Mulaney and Nick Kroll, I'm going to watch. Most likely, I'm going to at least give it a look-see. What did you think about it, brother?
Well, for those of you that haven't seen it, Big Mouth is a show of it's an animated series that's on Netflix that stars Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. They're awesome together, and it's basically the trials and tribulations of puberty, but done in a very crude, not safe for work, not safe for your children manner. It's freaking hilarious. It's really good, and it's really smart. It's very intelligently written. You know what I mean?
Yes, very much so.
Now, I know you caught a couple of them. Did you like the way that they were doing that? Was it too crude for you?
No, actually, the funny thing is when I watched about 2 episodes. I don't know if it's 2. Whichever one they went and someone had an incident in white shorts at the Statue of Liberty. That's the last one I watched, and the thing is, I liked all of them. It's just one of those things where it's just coming back to it. I liked all of them. But the thing is, Mulaney and Nick Kroll cannot lose, really. I don't think that they can do something that's not good. It's hard to, if anyone's really a big fan of Mulaney's stand-up work, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get past it because he talks like John Mulaney. He doesn't put on a fake voice. This is John Mulaney's voice coming out of an animated cartoon. It's kind of like if you're a fan of Bill Burr, watching his cartoon is weird because you hear Bill Burr. You don't hear anybody else. But other than that, man, it's very interesting stuff. Their imaginary friends really got me.
The hormone monster.
I thought that was really
right?
crazy.
Hormone?
Dude, what a good idea. What a good idea.
Nick Kroll does a lot of the voices on there, though. He does the hormone monster, and then he does the voice of is Nick, right? Isn't his name Nick on the show? Little Nick. I believe it's Little Nick.
Yeah, I know he did. Yeah, I can't really I can't tell Nick Kroll's voice out of a lineup until it takes me a while. I'm like, oh, that's Nick Kroll.
Yeah, he takes a while to figure out. Like even on Sausage Party when he played the douche, you saw that, right?
I did not know that at all. I didn't know it was him until I saw the credits.
Yeah, so he's got a little more of the talent, I would say, as far as like his vocal range. Also, you know what? What was that called? We were talking about it. Oh Hello, also on Netflix. That's another good one, man.
Yes, I gotta finish it. I haven't finished.
Oh, you haven't? It's like a 2-hour show or something like that. Just check it out.
But I really want to. Definitely. And on Big Mouth. Maya Rudolph plays the other hormone monster, and Jordan Peele plays Duke Ellington.
Yeah.
I did not know that was Jordan Peele. I had no clue.
I did a little cheating, So I had to look into that. There was too many familiar voices there, so I had to do the IMDb thing. But
oh, it's fantastic. I would have never got Maya Rudolph. I'm doing this off of memory. I might be wrong, but I would have never gotten Maya Rudolph, though. I would not have gotten, because she does a fantastic voice where I'm just like, I did not know that was you. Did not know that.
Hey, Steve, you know what? I'm gonna just stop it for just a quick second here. I think we need to backtrack a little bit. We need to go back. First of all, we're trying to shoot our wad too fast here, buddy. I think we need to slow it down. We need to let these people know where they can contact us. Give them the details. We kind of skipped that. We got a little excited, and all over ourselves.
Yeah, we could have pulled it and put it in the beginning. And also, I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, but you know who does, sir. You know who does. That was nice.
Yes.
Anyway.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I got this for you, sir. Don't worry about it. You just sit back and relax.
Handle it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Heroes of Noise. And if you'd like to reach us, please feel free to do so. You can reach us at heroesofnoisepodcast@gmail.com. Write us a little letter. Tell us what you think of the first show that we're doing here. You can also reach us on Twitter at Heroes of Noise. You can reach myself at Dan Q Public. And you can reach my friend Steve at s.e._Hudson Music. Also, it's a little early in the game to do this, but why not throw it out there? We had this. This is left over from the other show. We figured we'd put it to use. We got a voicemail, and you can reach us at 559 San Joaquin Valley, ladies and gentlemen, 492-9831. Represent the San Joaquin. There we go. See, that was easy, right? We just had to throw that in real quick and back to it.
Don't forget and we would love the voicemail. So please, voice. That's the main. That's a big one for me because I want to know what kind of questions you guys have. So 559-492-9831. See that? A little jingle with it, Dan. You got to know marketing, bro.
That was horrendous. You're a musician, man. What the hell was that? That was a little pitchy, dog. I don't know.
Hey, not everyone has vocal skills, man. Just calm down, bro. I'm doing my best.
You're more of a piano player than a singer.
I'm more of a piano player, brother. All yes.
Right. So what have you been into? What are you watching?
I watched a movie starring Thomas Jane. I don't know who directed it, but it's on Netflix. It's called 1922.
Oh, I saw that. No, I saw it on Netflix, but I have not watched it yet.
Dude. It has one of the most disturbing visual scenes I have seen this year. It is just a disturbing movie. It's just, that's what Stephen King does. He wrote it.
I know why. Go ahead. Now I know why I know this movie.
Devastating, dude.
So it's good. It's worth watching?
Why? Oh, definitely, dude. I don't even want to ruin what it's about because I didn't know. I would recommend the people not knowing the synopsis of it because I had no idea. What Stephen King does so awesomely is he does that narration. He has the person narrating the story and he tells you what happens in the beginning, but then he tells you how it happened. So just watch, not reading, just click play and just be ready for, if you don't like disturbing scenes, this isn't for you. Cause geez Louise, man.
Now this is a series or a movie? Okay, here we go. Now I got it pulled up. Now I know why this sounds familiar. And it's a Stephen King. Dude, Stephen King. What's up with all this, the Stephen King all of a sudden? It's everywhere, right?
It's the Stephen King assance, man.
That's funny.
It's pretty crazy.
You know why I know this movie? I just saw an article about it just the other day on a heavy metal site, blabbermouth.net of all things. Have you ever heard of Faith No More, the band Faith No More?
Yes.
So I got to start there. But the singer of Faith No More is a guy named Mike Patton. And he's got so many different types of bands. And he's a vocalist, you know. First and foremost, he's a vocalist. Yes. But he's also composing. I just found out he's composing this movie.
Oh, holy
so it's funny
crap.
that you brought that up.
He made the music for this movie?
I was wondering why. He composed all the music for it.
Interesting.
As he's getting older, he's tending to do that a little bit more, but it's very, what's the word? I guess it would be more like an avant-garde kind of a thing that he does. It's if people that know Mike Patton know exactly what I'm talking about, but it's very experimental. Some of it's super dissonant. Some of it sounds like shit. I'll be honest with you. But the dude's got one of the, if not the biggest vocal range I've ever heard out of any singer that I've ever heard. Seriously. But he's also taken to this here, and I was listening to it on the trailer. I just watched the trailer yesterday, as a matter of fact. That's why it's all coming back to me. But I was kind of more paying attention to the score than I was the actual plot.
And you would love it. You're gonna love this movie, Dan. It's right up your alley.
I think I'll check it out tonight. Actually.
Yeah, it's right up your alley. I've also been obviously I watch my normal weekly things. Everyone in the world watches This Is Us, so yes, I watch This Is Us. The Flash.
Everyone but me.
You don't watch This Is Us, G?
Nah, dude, I couldn't even tell you what that one's about. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, you might want to do that, bro. You might want to do that. Brother. It's about I can't because you have to watch it because I can't give you the interesting twist in the first episode, and that sets off the whole show. But you haven't even heard of it, or have you heard of this show? I
have not. I'm just pulling again. I'm using the magic of IMDb right now just to see.
It is so. Oh,
good. with Milo Ventimiglia.
Yes, Milo Ventimiglia.
Mandy Moore.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And we have another series I have to watch.
So good, man. It is
I need another freaking series to watch, Steve.
But you know what? This one's going to hook you. But wait, you haven't watched Friday Night Lights, right?
I did not watch Friday Night Lights.
Jesus, Dan.
Welcome to our pop culture show. Our hosts know nothing.
Dan.
Hey, man, I'll catch up. I'm living in the now, though. You know, I got these shows. Have you seen Mindhunter?
No. How was that?
We're just swinging and missing right now, aren't we? Another good one, dude.
Seriously. Is it really? Is it something? What is? Yeah. Give me the synopsis of this. What am I looking for?
Mindhunter is based in the 70s, and it's basically these two detectives that are following around. They're getting very, what did they call it? They weren't calling them serial killers. They were calling them series killers, I think. And it's kind of like, it's that time, it's that era where the term serial killer came up right now. So these two detectives, they go they're actually FBI agents, and they go against the grain of what they're supposed to be doing to interview all these various serial killers that they're not known that yet. They're not known as serial killers, but it's to get into the psyche of, what makes them tick. So week to week, I think the first 3 had to deal with like one killer, and now they're moving on. They don't stay the whole time. But dude, so good. Such a good show.
And this is on Netflix?
On Netflix, because Netflix seems to be killing it more than anyone right now.
Dude.
Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, dude, they're destroying. They're destroying, man. I mean, I did see mine. I think it has like a car. Isn't there like an open car door or something on the Netflix?
No, it looks like a Rorschach.
Then I didn't see that one. There's one that I might be Mindhunter.
Watch.
Really?
Yeah, I think there was something else called Mindhunters, but it stars, a lot of these people I've never heard of before. There's Jonathan Groff, who plays Holden Ford. He's the main FBI agent. Also Holt McCallany, who's plays Agent Bill Tench. And then it's just a bunch of people, like people that you've probably seen before.
Yeah.
But personally, like, this was just a cast of, to me, like, unknowns, which I liked better because, it's easier for it to kind of mold to the character as opposed to going, oh, that's so-and-so from this one. Like, it'd be like if you put, like, Daniel Radcliffe in there. I'm just watching Harry Potter through this the whole time. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, interesting.
No offense to him. No offense to him. He's a good actor. But in my head still, I can't get past
you're not going to be able to get that out of your head. It's just like every time to this day, every time I see Edward Norton, I think of American History X.
Oh man, but I was looking right here. I had to pull this one up too. Thank you, IMDb. You're saving my ass this first episode. There is a guy, an actor by the name of Cameron Britton, and he plays a serial killer in the show called Edmund Kemper. Dude, what a performance this guy puts in.
Really?
You have to at least watch. Yes, please watch at least the first 3 and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because he's literally in it for 3 episodes and that's it.
Oh, done deal.
He's like 6'9", just this big monster of a guy, but he's very eloquent and I'm not going to like spoil it as to what his crime was, but It's worth watching because he's a sick individual.
Didn't you say he was a serial killer?
Well, I'm not going to say how he did it.
Okay.
And what he did and who he did it to.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Totally
but spoilers. Yeah, but it's about serial killers, so I don't really feel like I'm giving too many spoilers.
I actually, have you been listening to any podcasts? Because I actually have one that you're going to love, and I think our listeners would love too.
Yeah, I got a few under my belt here. Which one are you throwing at me right now? I'm going to pull them up into my old... I love my phone, man. We can just pull up so much crap right now. Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Give me some of yours.
Who I've been listening to lately. Let's see. Definitely I listen to the Starkcast. Starkcast is... it's a very long show. It's Joe Stark is the host. And it's just a variety. It's like a talk show. It's a variety of people. But this dude, he can go on for 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes. Long, but very interesting, depending on the guest. And what else have I been listening to lately? Oh, yeah, Ear Hustle. Have you heard of Ear Hustle?
You told me about that. Something about prison, no?
Yeah, it's San Quentin. And it's just these prisoners, a couple of prisoners from San Quentin, inmates, I should say. And they go down in the basement and they just play the show, various stories about prison life. And it's really interesting, man. I don't know. I've always been into like prison stuff.
Oh, so you like
I just don't want to go to prison.
You like Lockup?
Yeah, I like all that shit as long as I'm looking from the outside.
Yeah.
It's all wonderful stuff.
Totally.
Yeah, but, it's also kind of terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, I always think, dude, there's nothing, like for me, there's nothing, I don't think many things would scare me more than just going to prison. That would freak me out. And so watching it on the outside seems kind of, saying, boy, you guys have it rough. But I did used to watch Lock Up very frequently. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
There's like 4,000 lockup shows, though.
Oh, right? My gosh, dude. I mean, goodness. But check it. Have you heard of this podcast? It's kind of making the waves right now called Dirty John.
I did just hear of that, but I couldn't tell you what it's about.
Dude.
That name came up. Where did I see that? I think it's just from like cruising Twitter. What is it called? I'm going to pull that one up. Dirty John. That sounds. That could go a whole bunch of different ways.
Rap.
Dirty John. Here we go.
Dude.
Shall I go ahead and read the synopsis?
Sure. Read the synopsis. I don't think it gives anything away.
Is this the one with Deborah Newell? Personal journals?
Yep.
All right, it says, Deborah Newell is a successful interior designer. She meets John Meehan, a handsome man who seems to check all the boxes. Attentive, available, just back from a year in Iraq, with Doctors Without Borders. But her family doesn't like John, and they get entangled in an increasingly complex web of love, deception, forgiveness, denial, and ultimately survival. Reported and hosted by Christopher Goffard from the LA Times. So is this kind of like a serial or something?
Yes. And it's a real story. And it happened, and oh my God. I mean, dude, like people, you know how people do something on Twitter, they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So you go in ready not to really like it, right?
Right.
But when I watched it and I was like, yep, it was everything they said it would be. It was. Totally amazing.
Hit me with one good point, one redeeming quality about the show. It's going to make me want to watch it. It's going to make these good people out there want to watch it.
You're going to, I think everybody that's listening right now is going to like it because is he who he says he is? Everything points to him being who he says he is, but is he who he says he is? It's going to teach you to, if you should or shouldn't trust your gut. When everything seems like it checks all the boxes, but your gut is telling me something is not right. And this podcast shows what happens for people who do trust their gut and for people who don't.
Does this fall into the S-Town category? Maybe more like S-Town than
what's S-Town?
Oh, Lord. It sounds very similar like that. That was another one about a crime that got committed and they thought it was one certain person. Kind of like a cluster of small town characters, and they interview each person, and it's like that. You're trying to figure out as the show goes along.
Oh, well, no, see, this one is no crime has been committed. This is just a guy she meets online, and it's about the person who's with him and the family, and about what they think of him and who he ends up being, whether it be truly who he is or he's not who he says he is. It's that it devolves into a very interesting story. And by the end, you just take off your earphones like, oh my God.
Does it give some details on how Christopher Goffard got to, like what inspired him to do this podcast in the first place?
No, But at the end, you'll see why. You won't even have to ask them. You'll be like, oh, that's why this story needed to be a podcast form. It's amazing, dude.
It looks pretty short. It's only like 6 episodes.
That's it. It's 6 hours. But the thing is, there is no, let's take a break here and talk about that. No, it hits the ground and dashes for 6 hours. And by the end of the 6 hours, you're like, holy crap, man. It doesn't let up. Yeah, you're going to love it. I'd say just download all of them, listen, and tell me what you think.
Let's see. What else did I add recently? Blackout and Shout is another one. This is another type of kind of like a loose form pop culture, podcast. But I heard a little bit of that, and that sounded pretty interesting too. Just giving them a shout out because it was definitely sound like I wanted to keep listening.
Done deal.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
How about we get, now that we're over that, everybody has it written down. Everybody has all the stuff that you should be listening to and watching and hearing and all that stuff. I hope you do.
Did you pay attention?
Did you pay attention, class? Why don't we get into some of the news in a week? What kind of news do you have? I have a few things here, but what you got over there, Dan?
Excuse me, man. I was taking a drink of my fine beverage here.
No problem.
Well, man, here's the deal. I know that you're not a Star Wars guy, and I'm not going to give you shit about it right now, but they did release the new trailer. I thought it was pretty dope. I know that, when you watch these trailers, Steve, they can edit these things really well to make it seem like you're going one direction, when in fact you're probably not going that direction. So I'm kind of hoping that's the way it is. This is going to be something where I'm breaking down the Star Wars trailer, but I got very excited about that. I think we were supposed to did it come out last week? We were supposed to record last week, weren't we?
I think it came out the week before.
No, was it really?
Yeah, I think it was the week, because that's when I started seeing those Twitter pictures of that little penguin thing. It was like a week before last week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that real quick. That little penguin thing you're talking about is called a porg, and that's pretty much the thing that's pissing me off about this here.
What?
I don't need any more, because I don't need any more cute creatures with Star Wars. See, I'd like to talk these things with you, but I know you're not like savvy with it. But of course you've heard of Ewoks.
I remember the Ewoks, yes.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be an Ewok situation, and that could really go badly, but let's see, man. It's kind of got like an Empire Strikes Back feel. That's what they said about the last one, that the Force Awakens had like an Episode 4 or New Hope type of a thing. It does really feel like they're kind of going down that road, but I'm hopeful about this. I mean, really, they could just shit Star Wars and I'm going to watch it. I will pay money to see any Star Wars that comes out, but that was something that I was definitely happy about.
Awesome.
But another big one came out, and I'm going to let you go with this one here, but I know that you watched this. I just know. I don't even have to ask you if you did. Dude. That Black Panther trailer.
Okay, you're about to be shocked. I'm not watching any trailers for Black Panther.
Now, why would you go do a thing like that?
I want to be utterly surprised. I want this to be the one time where I go in not knowing any of the action scenes, not knowing anything that's happening, so I could just walk out in my dashiki just totally flabbergasted.
So if we go together, does that mean I have to wear one too?
Affirmative.
All right, cool. You got one I could borrow?
Yeah, if you get invited to the cookout, you have to wear the dashiki, Jay.
All right, man.
But from what I'm hearing, people are losing. There is no in the middle of the ground, like middle ground situation. People are losing their mind off of this trailer, like saying, "Oh my God, this movie is going to be crazy." So I'm excited.
No, you watched Ragnarok though, right?
I watched the Ragnarok trailer. Yes.
Okay. I will tell you that I think this makes Ragnarok look... Well, no, that's not true. Ragnarok looks dope.
I loved Ragnarok's trailer, G.
Yeah. But I'll say this. If you love Ragnarok's trailer, you're really going to love the Black Panther trailer.
And the thing with Ragnarok's trailer is when she said, who are you the god of exactly? And he has lightning coming through his eyes. Come on, dog. This is going to be a crazy movie, man.
Let's talk to cast, man. What do you think of the casting for that movie?
I love it. I think now here's the thing I have. Okay, dude, why am I even gonna go? This isn't negative, but Chadwick Boseman is everybody now. It's like in every movie they're like, we need a black guy. We're like, hey, Chadwick's available. Like he's in that new Thurgood Marshall movie. He was Hank Aaron.
42.
He's now
I was gonna say
Black Panther.
He played James Brown and Get On. What was it? Get On Up, right? That was the one that was called.
Yes, he's been everything. So he is the brother right now. But I think it's a good. I think they picked a good star. I'm really loving the fact that what's my boy's name?
Michael B.
Yes, Michael B. Jordan. I love the fact that they have him and Coogler teaming up again after Creed. Immediately going into Black Panther.
And I loved Creed, man. I really did.
I haven't seen it.
What the hell's wrong with you? This is pop. I mean, I know it's not like I said, it's not a 100% really pop culture type show.
Yes, dude. But that's not a poppy movie, though, dog.
Oh, that's right. And you got a thing about Rocky too. I forgot about that.
Rocky
you're impartial. Would you say it's fair to say you're impartial?
No, I loved when what was it, number 4 with Drago?
Yeah.
Or was it 3?
Rocky 4.
Dude, that is the movie when he's like, if he dies, he dies. I think I was like, to that point, that was the most cruel quote I had ever seen in a movie. Dude was like, if he dies, he dies. But you know what was weird about that is at the end, they shake hands after the ultimate fight. I'm like, dude said that if your boy dies, he dies. Why are you now shaking hands with him at the end? It's kind of weird, but what are you going to do?
Well, they got Creed 2 coming out.
Yeah. I know, and directed by Rocky.
Yeah, but speaking of Rocky 4, they're actually bringing, what's his name, Dolph Lundgren back. They're bringing Dolph Lundgren back as Ivan Drago for this movie. I imagine that he's not going to be fighting Creed, but what is he
might be training the guy that fights Creed.
Or do you think they're going to go, I have a feeling Sylvester Stallone is going to end up writing something where it has to do with like his son. I could see that happening.
And so his son might end up fighting Creed or fighting Drago's son?
I mean, yeah, I would assume that's probably what they're going with. I don't think there's even like a script ready yet. They just announced that actually, that he was going to be directing that. But I'm in. That's another thing. Like Star Wars, I've watched all the Rockies. I'll continue to watch them. I know that they're not all good, but I will watch them.
Here's the issue with this Creed 2. The Creed 2 is, the thing that made Creed 1 was the fact that Coogler was behind it. That's what made Creed work. The eye of Coogler. Now that Coogler's not in, A, it makes me wonder, why didn't Coogler want to do it? B, it makes me wonder, do they know that their secret ingredients are not there anymore? That is what makes me think, again, I have no affinity toward Rocky, so it kind of makes me the bad person to talk to, but I don't know exactly if they understand that their secret ingredient was Ryan Coogler.
Well, did you see Rocky Balboa? Did you see that one?
Yes, I did see that. Yes.
And I thought that was a good one. I think that was done by Sylvester Stallone, if I'm not mistaken.
It was. It was decent. I didn't hear people.
It was better than Rocky 5, if you've seen Rocky 5.
There we go.
Because that
was a critics love.
Bootsy.
The critics loved it. Whereas Creed had a different sort of, oh my goodness, coming out of the theater where people were like, you got to go see Creed. You got to go see Creed. Now, I don't know if it was lower expectations, but no, because Rocky Balboa had lower expectations and people were like, whoa, that's good. It's pretty good. But I don't know if it had the same umph that Creed had coming out of it. I mean, Sylvester Stallone got a freaking Academy Award nomination out of that freaking movie. Out of Creed.
It was a tearjerker, man. I'm telling you. That one got me.
I mean, I might end up watching that.
You really should watch that one. I really think you should. It's because it's more based on Apollo Creed's son's character. I mean, obviously it's called Creed, but you're not getting so much Rocky. But the Rocky that you get is not the Rocky that you know. It's a much older Rocky, and his whole like mindset has changed, and he's not who he used to be anymore. You know what I mean? He's an old guy, and he's got some health issues, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But please watch it.
Well, see, the interesting thing for me would be watching the critically acclaimed and lauded fight sequence that they had like very few cuts, like they didn't cut a lot, and somehow they filmed around the people fighting. So I want to see that and be like, wow, how real did this look? But I mean, it was choreographed to this T. Michael B. Jordan got knocked out.
Yeah.
Unconscious. Yeah, knocked unconscious. And Sylvester Stallone was like, yeah, that's what happens. If you want to make it real, this is how it rolls. That's from the old school. That's some old school. Yeah, that's life. You get knocked unconscious when you film a Rocky movie. A Creed movie. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Because, Sylvester tells the story of when he told Dolph Lundgren to hit him, like give him a good hit, knocked him clean out. Lundgren knocked him clean out.
You got it.
Exactly. But yeah, man. So I'm very interested in seeing Creed also, and I'm very pumped on Black Panther. So what else you got, brother?
I wanted to make one more recommendation on something that I came across. Now, this was published back in January, but I just got hip to it just recently, and it's a comic that I read. It's called God Country, written by Donny Cates. Basically, what this is about is it's in Texas, I know we like comics that deal with Texas for some reason, but this one is about a guy named Emmett Quinlan he's like got dementia, Alzheimer's to be more specific, and he's really bad. He's at the point where he's violent outbursts, and the cops are always having to bring him back home, and they're getting ready to do something. They're going to have to do something a little more ultimate to him to keep him at bay. They're going to have to put him somewhere. He's got his son who's been watching him and taking care of him, and not really being as successful as he'd like to be because the guy's he's a big guy, and he's just hard to control. Well, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but basically what happens is this storm comes to town, this big tornado, and just rattles the town, destroys their home. When the tornado goes away, Emmett's there standing, and he's got this 12-foot sword in his hand. And wow. It's this big, massive sword. And with this sword, whenever he's holding the sword, he's like back to normal again. All of his dementia's gone, everything like that. And okay, that's decent enough, but where are you going to go with it from there? Well, it turns out that there's this god. I'm not giving any names or anything like that. I did read it. I want you to read this, but this god wants his sword back. So it's basically about how this god's getting his sword back and who he sends to battle with him. And it's a very short story. It has to do more with like family, and is it really worth throwing away for the sake of like holding on to a sword, holding on to your mind, And I gotta tell you, dude, I read it all in like one sitting, and it's really, really just very well written. You're gonna like it a lot.
Can't wait, brother. Can't wait.
What do you got, man? I know you got some news.
Oh, I got a few things.
Come on.
I'll start with something silly. So the Snowman came out. You heard anything about the Snowman?
That is with Magneto, Michael Fassbender.
Michael
correct?
Fassbender. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I have heard about it.
You heard how people are kind of panning it a little bit?
I just heard that people don't really know what to do with this movie. I have not seen it yet. I haven't really, I did see one quick preview. It has to do with a killer, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Affirmative. And a lot of people are coming out of the movie saying, I watched the movie. I still don't know what I watched.
There's a lot of those out there. Well, anyway, go on, please.
Yeah, I don't. And so, but one interesting thing that I was digging through, not so much of the movie, this is a silly piece of noise that no one really, people are talking about it, but I think it's really funny, and I think our listeners will love it. So the movie, everyone in the movie has Norwegian names, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they gave Michael Fassbender the name Harry Hole.
Harry Hole?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard you correctly, right? Seriously?
I'm dead serious.
Well, where are you going to go with that?
Dude, why would you just not give him a Norwegian name like everyone else? And why would you go with Harry Hole?
You ever see that movie about that killer Harry Hole? That was pretty good.
Isn't it a weird thing, dude? Don't you find, I just found it, I'm like, okay, that should have told everybody this movie's going to be a joke.
That's pretty funny.
Totally another joke. I thought it was funny.
I mean, like when people, like even when parents are picking names or something like that, you would think that they would think a little more intelligently about these things. Like what I mean? One of these days, someone's going to have to introduce themselves as, "Hi, I'm Harry Hole." Now I realize this is
insane.
This is a fictitious thing, right? It is fictitious, correct?
It is, but it was in Norway. If everyone else has a Norwegian name...
Oh, you're just tripping on that it's not a Norwegian name. I'm tripping on the fact that it's Harry Hole.
No, Harry Hole is funny, but there's so many other reasons they could have gone with a different name. That's just, why go with that name, let alone that specific name? Why would you do that?
Why wouldn't you when the name is Harry Hole?
It's so funny. But in other less funny news, well, kind of funny... So, Dean Devlin's Geostorm is on track for a weekend box office that won't even cover the reshoots.
And that was the Gerard Butler one, yeah?
Yes.
I did see a preview for that. Now, it kind of looked like it was like all over the place. Like part of me kind of wanted to see it, but I don't know. It's another one of those. You know what it is, Steve? All these movies are we're in that time right now where we're just about to start releasing all of the big blockbuster movies again. True. Summer's over. We're in the fall and we're getting those kind of like half-assed phone-in movies, or the ones that, maybe they could have done better with better, seasonal timing. But I think we're just in that range right now where this is the movies that they're going to get. They're holding off until like another month or so after Thanksgiving. That is that is so bad, dude. What did you say? It didn't make back for the reshoots? Money for the reshoot expense. It didn't make that back in the opening weekend. And it doesn't look like it's going to be able to, it might cover it over time, maybe worldwide, but they said it's going to get beat by Medea's Oh, damn.
Boo 2, a Madea Halloween.
They make so much money, man. It's crazy.
They make a ton of money now.
And you got the Halloween thing too. You know what I mean? So that's
well, yeah, but Geostorm, Gerard Butler used to be say it said back in the day, it would say Geostorm starring Will Smith. It wouldn't even have to be good. You're automatically going to beat Boo 2, Medea's Halloween joint. You're going to beat that.
She's a force to be reckoned with, man.
Come on, G. Gerard Butler used to have that name. I just don't think he's pulling it like that. I like Gerard Butler, but he must not be that guy.
I used to drive a Geostorm. I had a 91 Geostorm back in the day, man. It was brand new.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think this is what it is. That's why I thought you were going to see it this weekend.
Maybe they would have had like a better luck making a movie about a Geostorm, per se, than the Geostorm.
But it is about a Geostorm. Oh, you mean a Geostorm?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a thing called a Geostorm?
Yeah, I used to drive one.
No, I'm saying that's what it's about, though. A Geostorm car.
No, it's not. It's not about
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. That's the reason that I watched the preview. I remember that there. Maybe we should.
You sure
yeah, you know what? Hold on. Seriously. Let's just break for a second. We'll hit pause.
Hold on.
Let's watch. No, hold on. Let's watch this preview, and then we'll come back and talk about it real quick, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's break. Let's pause real quick.
Break. Yeah, Dan was right. I was lied to.
Oh, man, I'm a little disappointed now. Like, I was like, did I watch maybe trailer totally 1 right. as opposed to trailer 2?
Well, see, now it even doesn't make more sense. That movie should have done way better than that. Just off of the special effects. And now I see why the reshoots would cost more than $12 million.
I'm just trying to figure out where the fuck you got in your head that this movie is about a Geostorm. Because it would have been dope. I'm telling you.
I must have been told that, and the state of movies is so convincing right now that I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's a thing. I see how people go, playing off the nostalgia. Everyone would go see it because they're like, oh, I remember those. And if you're trying to use a Geostorm to get away from something, everyone would just watch because. Not
a movie about
and apparently not a movie that investors should have put their money behind either.
Well, you know what? We just watched the trailer. Let's talk about that for a second. This basically is another one of those. They said it's even made by the people that made Independence Day, correct? So it's just another one of those disaster movies. Maybe, I don't even really have anything critical to say about it, but maybe the world's just kind of tired of that. Been there, done that, you know. They did
2012.
They stopped with the vampire. Yeah, but no, I mean, think about it. Like, you just start beating something into the ground. You've got vampire movies that were the big thing for a while. You can say the same thing about zombies. Same, I mean.
No, I would say zombies are still in vogue. Vampires are still in vogue. They'll always be in vogue, only depending on how you do them. Because people just love the dead coming back. It's a thing.
Walking Dead is out tonight, speaking of zombies.
And I could care less.
I know.
And mind you, I'm into this show, dude. But why don't you care?
So, you've got Negan, and he's pretty sick, but you've got Negan light. And I don't know, man. It just didn't work for me. I just thought that what they did with him, there was a few good moments. I mean, who am I? I'm just this fucking guy that's podcasting, you know what I mean? But personally, if you're asking, I just felt that it didn't go anywhere. The whole Eugene, that's his name, right? Mm-hmm. Eugene, the guy with the big mullet. Yeah. I don't know, man. I grew tired of him. I grew tired of the fact that sometimes there's just nothing happening with those junk people. I don't even know what they're called because that's where I started bailing out. That's where I bailed out right there, the junk people. But anyway, not to ramble on too much about it, but I'm just not feeling it anymore. So you know what? I'll give it a chance. I'll watch it. Maybe they'll win me back. But I'm not sure, man. Not really feeling it.
I loved last season. I remember I loved Negan. I thought Negan was dope, and you're just like, I'm not feeling this cat. I'm not feeling this cat. I thought Negan was off the hook. Like I loved his style. I loved his groove. But mind you, I've been a fan of Jeffrey Dean Morgan even when he was on Supernatural. I liked him as the father. I thought he was a really good dad, the paterfamilias of the Winchester family. But he was on Grey's Anatomy. He was on, he was the comedian in The Watchmen. He's been in great, and I just like him. People don't like his whole bending his back. I think it's just so groovy, man. I like it. I liked it.
No, oh, you know what? When you said bending his back, I know what you mean. Yeah, I've seen memes where they're like at 90-degree angles and all that. You know what it is? Like, seriously, I'm not bashing Jeffrey Dean Morgan's acting or Negan for that matter. Like I said, it's just, it's like Negan light.
I think, yeah.
And it tended to be a little bit redundant in his like, well. You know what I'm talking about? Like his whole...
Yeah, I dug that, man.
You know what? Again, I'm going to give it a chance.
And also, mind you, I like corny stuff. Like, I watched Vampire Diaries. I watched the originals. This corny stuff is up my alley. So maybe that's why it appeals to me.
I'm not going to bash it. I will definitely give it a shot and see if it's worth watching again. But, you know, once you kind of make that decision, it takes a lot to bring you back.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
Speaking of The Walking Dead, I'm going to ask you a question, sir.
Well, please do.
Now, I'm going to tell you, we're going to do a little guessing game. Game of Thrones, the cast members on Game of Thrones earn about $500,000 an episode, right?
I'm going off of your knowledge there.
This is true. What would you say the two head actors, Andrew Lincoln and Norman Reedus, how much do you think they make per episode of The Walking Dead? Again, Game of Thrones, $500,000. What will you put theirs at?
You know, the way that you're saying it, I want to say that it's going to be higher. I'm going to go higher just because. Okay. I would say they're close to the $800,000 range.
Okay. They make $92,000 an episode, G.
I'm way the hell off. Seriously?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's very interesting because, well, you've got 7 seasons for each, right? Yeah. This is the start of the 8th season.
Yes.
But the amount of marketing that they put into this, I mean, Walking Dead is everywhere. You can't escape it even when it's off season. You can't escape Walking Dead. $92,000, huh? Yes.
And they have said recently, this is another interesting piece of information. They have said they've asked for pay hikes respectively for 7 and 8 and beyond. They're going to be going to 80. Well, they went from 92 and they're going to end up making $650,000 an episode after season 8. That's a pay hike, bro. That is a pay hike from $92,000 to $650,000 an episode.
They do deserve like a big raise. I mean, if they're making $92,000 and they've been on this long with this much popularity, I find it very hard to believe that they haven't stood up. And I mean, obviously they haven't. If they're just starting to do it now, maybe this is where they started to speak up. But that seems insane to me that there's that big of a difference.
There's that big of a... And the kid, whose name is Chandler Riggs, he makes $30,000 an episode.
That's good money for a kid his age. He doesn't need.
That's good money for it, but like Lauren Cohan
just hating.
denied.
I'm just hating on him because he makes more money than me.
All of the other people make between $40,000 to $60,000 an episode, which isn't bad money. But I'm interested to see how their pay hike translates into the ancillary characters, where they're just like, wait a minute. We should not be only making $40,000 to $60,000 per episode if they're making $650,000. Are they 10 times more important than us? 10 times.
I'm looking that up right now. Like, I mean, oh my God, it's right there. According to the published reports, Andrew Lincoln earns $90,000 per episode.
How insane is that, dude?
It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm baffled. That's the big news this week.
That's not bad money, but that's not bad money.
No, it's great money. I mean, you know, that's fantastic. I wish I was making that.
Considering, like, and here's my issue. I wouldn't even bench it with Game of Thrones. If someone was like, well, they're making that much, if I was the producer, I'd be like, just calm down. That's Game of Thrones, and we're doing Walking Dead. But the fact that they're going to get a $650,000 per episode situation, that's making more than Game of Thrones now.
We're also that's true, and I was about to say we're also comparing HBO to AMC. But if they're actually going to do a pay, you know, they're going to hike it up above that. You know, Game of Thrones cast isn't going to settle for that. There's going to be some delays with deals. That's insane. That's just crazy because you know and the budget. I can only imagine the budget has got to be so much different. I have no numbers in front of me, but the budget's got to be so much different when you're doing. I think it takes like a month to make one Game of Thrones episode
with CGI and all that stuff.
Right,
more.
And they're probably rocking. I'm just guessing. I'm assuming they're probably rocking one out on Walking Dead set in a week.
And that's my thing. Like, I don't think that their overhead is that much because, like, say you're paying the whole cast and all the cast comes to, say, $2 million, $2.2 million an episode. They're not having to pay for a massive set. They don't have to go and make Stark Industries. They're filming in Georgia, which probably gives them a tax break, and they might be making hand over fist, you know? So that much money isn't a big deal to them.
We're in the wrong business, man. And
it's not going to be just them. There's no way it's just going to be just them. The article compares it to Game of Thrones, and if that's the tactic they used, I'm surprised that it worked, because I'd be shocked if the producers weren't like, dude, this isn't Game of Thrones. However, Andrew Lincoln can command that. Norman Reedus can, but they could also be like, we could just kill you off. We could just kill you off and have Michonne take more of the legwork. We could. You know what I'm saying? Now, if Norman Reedus and Denai, I forgot her full name, but what's her name?
Michonne's?
Yeah, Michonne's name, her real name. I always mispronounce it. Dang, I forgot her real name.
I got you, brother. I got you. It's all right.
Oh, there it goes. Denai Guerrera.
It's episode 1, man. Don't beat yourself up too much here.
Yeah, Denai Guerrera. If Norman Reedus and Denai and all the ancillary carriers partner up and say, look, we want to have this much money, they could do it. But since Andrew Lincoln and Norman Reedus are going to, in fact, get the same amount of money, dude, that whole... And here's the weird part. I didn't think Norman Reedus was the co-headline. I thought it was Michonne. They have it as Norman Reedus.
Oh, they're loving Reedus, man. They wouldn't have kept him around so long. He wasn't even the comics. You know what I mean?
But how is Michonne not the co-headline? She's literally his girlfriend. I don't understand exactly how that works, only because I think it would make a bigger hit. I think it would hit harder if Michonne left than Norman Reedus. Her death would make a bigger impact, which is why they teased it in the season finale. They teased her death. They didn't tease Norman's death. They teased her death because they knew it would make a bigger impact.
You know what? I don't know. They're keeping Norman Reedus around. People just love the hell out of this guy.
They do like him. And he has that other show on AMC. Is it AMC or the Travel Channel? Where he's on a motorcycle?
I think it's the Travel Channel. Yeah, where he's going. Yeah, I've seen that one.
And it just got renewed again.
I've never actually watched the whole episode, but I did kind of flip through and watch it one time. I'm not a big Norman Reedus guy. You know what I mean?
Neither am I. People like you. Have
no
to
offense
like
to the man.
Him.
Yeah,
you have to like him to watch him ride randomly through different areas that you're never going to visit.
Wish him all the luck in the world. It's just not my cup of tea, brother. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So that is our wonderful Walking Dead news. One last thing. They interviewed Jason Momoa, and he has confirmed that the next Aquaman is only going to be an origin story. How do you feel about that?
So, you know what? I think I go against the grain on this here, but I kind of like origin stories. I know people don't. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like them, but I kind of dig that. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. You got 900 Spider-Mans. I'm not really looking for an origin story. Which
is why I love that they didn't on the recent one. I actually watched it, by the way. And I like that they didn't do the origin. It's my favorite Marvel movie since Blade.
We'll come back to that. Let's continue on this real quick.
But no, I like that Superman. I like that Spider-Man didn't, because we know his origin story. Aquaman, I'm on your side with, because I don't know where the hell Aquaman came from.
I was never a big Aquaman fan, you know, with reading comics growing up. So this is really new to me. Now I know we're dealing with Brokewoman this time. It's going to be a big different. It's going to be a different take. I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to be digging it, but I'm definitely going to try and hit it like most things that I do with an open mind. You know,
yes, and
I do try to give everything a chance. There's not much that I go and be like, oh, I'm just not watching that, unless it's something so far away from what I'm, you know, into. But I'm usually pretty open minded about those kind of things. But
yeah.
I don't know, man. I've been watching these Justice League trailers, or the Justice League trailer, and it's too much rock and roll for me. You know, what's he say? What's his line? My man, I think is what he says.
I like it though. I like his groove, man. I like it.
Like I said, I'm open to it. I don't really know much about the origin story. I don't know anything, in fact, about the origin story of Arthur Curry.
Neither do I. I didn't know. I didn't know he was a person before Aquaman. I thought he was just Aquaman. I didn't know he was like Arthur Curry.
Like, I mean, I have some basic knowledge. I think I don't want to spoil anything, especially since it's going to be like, he'll start coming out here with it. I think it comes out like November 17th. So I have an inkling of knowledge about, the story of Arthur Curry. I believe that there's some royalty from the sea involved, and he was placed into a fisher town or something like that. And I don't know. You know what? I'm not even going to bother going there because now that I'm talking about it, I don't fucking have any idea what's up with Arthur Curry.
Neither do I.
So I'm actually more interested in seeing an origin story than I would be just throwing him in.
So I'm open only because I like watching Jason Momoa. His quote is, he says, quote, "It's the whole origin story for sure. You'll see Arthur and everything. It goes from before he was born. It's the whole mythology of it. It's unbelievable where we start in this movie and where we end up. Right now, I'm feeling all of the stuff, and it's pretty insane. I hate comparing things, but when I watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, you'll see all these amazing worlds and the places they go, and you watch Star Wars, and they do battles in space. Well, what do you think is going to happen underwater?"
So they've got Aquaman, like in modern times. I'm assuming it's like 2017. Now, do you know anything? Like, is he supposed to be hundreds of years old too? Have you heard anything about this?
I'm imagining from the quote, it looks like they're going to be fighting different worlds underwater, different underwater worlds or something like that. It's wide open. I'm imagining they're going to come from a point of, I don't think it's in our universe, obviously, because I have a feeling Atlantis is a thing. Probably. I don't know. But I'm imagining Atlantis is a thing, right?
I mean, I would assume so. I'm pretty sure that's what I was getting at earlier. I was like, had to do with like the royalty thing. I didn't want to go too far into it, but is it Neptune? I'm gonna probably, there's probably someone that's like well versed in Aquaman, ready to slap the shit out of me right now.
Please leave a voicemail. Leave a voicemail.
Yeah, please tell me how I don't know, because I'll tell you I don't know anything about it. But
neither do I.
I do believe that Atlantis is a big part of it, and I want to say Neptune is too, but I could be wrong about that.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it. We're both gonna watch it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I watch them all. Whether or not it's something that I'm going to be into or not, you know what? I'm looking forward to watching it. I'll tell you that much.
So am I.
And let's see what happens.
We should definitely go. Yes, absolutely. Now, this next piece of news is a biggie, which leads us into our conversation. Do you want to go ahead and give the rundown of our next interesting events of the last 2 weeks, Dan?
It's going to be fun too to see where this springs off of, because I know that this show that they're listening to right now is not going to be what's happening a month from now. We're gonna streamline it a little bit, but this is the point of the show where we're gonna tackle one subject, and it could be anything. At first, like I said, we were starting off, we were just gonna do nothing but pop culture, but you know what? We're just gonna deal with like what we're feeling, basically what it is, and we really couldn't ignore the events that has gone over the last couple of weeks, and what I'm referring to is the sexual escapades of Harvey Weinstein. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about today, what Steve and I thought would be an interesting thing to talk about as we sit and bullshit in a parking lot after midnight for, an hour at a time, usually after work. Is it okay, ladies and gentlemen? Is it all right if you're into something, you're into a certain artist, musical, actor, whatever it is, and then a big scandal comes up, something like this, and creates this giant stigma, I mean, it's basically it's like a shame carnival right now on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And it's you can't escape it. Is it okay to continue to like the art that these people have produced? I mean, that's a big subject when you think about it there, because that's almost like a judge of character, wouldn't you say?
Yes. I mean, look, I think a big one for us specifically. Like Harvey Weinstein was big, I'm sure, for both of us, but I think a big one in the same vein that we can use for a certain conversation was Bill Cosby.
Great one. Yeah, that's another great one to talk about,
Did you stop watching The Cosby Show?
Yeah, but I also did that like 25 years ago. So yes, Steve, I have put that shit way past me, brother. But I see what you're saying, because, Cosby was the man. Up until all that scandal happened, Cosby was my man. I mean, I loved Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. That's where I got my first. I mean, I remember my dad listening to old Bill Cosby albums, like comedy albums, when I was a kid. But my first, it was always, get out of here. You're not supposed to be hearing this. Even though he was fairly clean, that my dad just was very strict on like what I would listen to. And then suddenly he just, well, you know what? Scratch all that. Here's Eddie Murphy, Delirious. Here you go, sixth grader. Listen to that. But for a while, when I was a kid, my dad just wouldn't let me listen to that kind of stuff, So my introduction to Bill Cosby was Fat Albert. Loved it. If I was sitting on my couch right now and an old episode of Fat Albert came on, I would naturally be compelled to watch that. Like I would feel like, oh, it's Fat Albert. It's my joint. Is it okay to do that though now? Like, does that make me a bad person?
Dan, yay or nay? Give it to me. What's your opinion?
Well, before I do, I kind of want to hear what you have to say about that because that was a nice try, man. That was a nice try, you sneaky bastard.
I will say, oh man.
But hold on, see, like this goes further though, because I mean, let's not before you answer that question. Let's take another huge component to this here. Now, to be fair, this person is deceased, and to also be fair, there was never any true like legal action that came. What am I trying to say? There was no prison time. You know, essentially they escaped outside of their pride and slight reputation. They escaped fairly unscathed and continued to have a successful career. But I'm going to take one of your favorites, Steve, and you know who I'm talking about. Michael Jackson. Now I know that's close to home right there. That's close to your heart. I love, and for the record, I love me some Michael Jackson. But I just already told you right now that I'm not sure if truly that makes me a good person. I don't know, man. Like I think, no, fuck that. I'm a good person. But is it okay to like that? Like should I? I don't know. It's a really tough subject, man. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
All right. Okay. So I have a very, very, very rough answer to this. I don't believe it is okay to like their art. And I believe that when we do, and we do, we're doing a bad thing. Those two can go intermingle with each other. I believe that if we know that a person is bad, say R. Kelly, and we still buy his music, that makes us that we're doing a bad thing.
You could say the same thing about Chris Brown.
Totally. We are doing a bad thing. Now, do we do it anyway? Probably, but I will stay on the side of if someone is doing, especially like, I think there are levels, but we're going to talk specifically about domestic violence and sexual attacks, I guess, rape, so on and so forth.
Sexual abuse.
Yeah, sexual abuse. I don't think we should take that out of our rotation, only because, in my opinion, as human beings, it enables us to look over things and dulls our sensitivity. We're able to look over more and more and more and more. We're able to dismiss more things and more things and more. Oh, that's not that. Oh, it's not that bad. And it's easier for us to just disable that part of the brain that says, hey, I don't think this is right. What he does is wrong. We can't go with that. We could just disable that and just say, oh, no, but I really like his music. No. You should and mind you, are we going to do that? Heck no. But I do think we need to come to terms with the fact that if we do, it's a bad thing, period. It's not close for me. What about you?
So it's like what you're saying is that for the sake of this, I know we won't really get into religion here, but you and I have both discussed how we feel about religion.
Yes.
So for the purpose of this conversation, you're committing a sin, but you're okay with committing that sin?
Totally.
Okay, now, okay. But on that same note, are you just being selective?
Oh, yes, for everything.
Right?
I think, yeah, we are totally, if we listen to someone who is, now there are degrees, that's why we chose sexual abuse. There are degrees. If someone shoplifts, I'm like, oh, come on. But if someone, it's just like OJ. When we sit there and talk about OJ and how terrible he is, yes, we don't like him because he murdered his ex-wife and got off and got away with it. So we think, and so, even though the jury let him go or whatever, whatever. He got away with it. We hate him. However, Chris Brown obviously beat the piss out of Rihanna. We have pictures of it, and people still go to his concerts, and they will call those two different things.
And he's very successful. I mean, let's not gloss over it. I mean, I was actually looking at that. I don't have any numbers in front of me, but his record sales did not diminish.
Did not shake. Neither did R. Kelly. Yeah.
In fact, I'm willing to bet that they actually, just because that's people's way. You know what I mean? Like it's the curiosity, the morbid curiosity. Someone dies, Chris Cornell dies, Soundgarden record sales go up. You know what I mean? That's just the way human nature is for some part. But I think that it kind of proves that there's this huge level of hypocrisy with people.
Totally. I think if your talent outweighs, in your brain, a person's talent can outweigh what they did. If you're talented enough, you can get away with anything. anything you could get away with. No question. I mean, if we look at the Beatles, look at John Lennon. You know, he was abusive to his significant other, and people just are like, well, what are you gonna do? But like, you could just not listen to the Beatles. Are we gonna not? No, but we have to also then admit that we're doing a bad thing. Then you can't just say, if you can make, how do you make the argument that it's okay to support their art? Because if you support their art, you are in fact giving them money.
It's like positive reinforcement in a weird way.
It is totally. They're like, you're giving them money. That's a reason why if Charles Manson writes a book, they're not going to let him profit off that book. Why? Because he shouldn't profit if he's in prison for doing something bad. Whereas out here, since you haven't been caught, you almost get rewarded for getting away with it.
Yeah. And dude, we're at this infantile stage right now. Like, this is still fresh. It's just a couple weeks old. There have been no trials yet. I'm willing to bet that there's going to be more accusations coming out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and in fact, it's kind of started a whole domino effect with that kind of thing. I mean, like, that shit's everywhere now. And there's people getting accused everywhere, even like someone like our president, for instance. Mm-hmm. You know?
He won. Yeah.
He won. Let's just say it.
And won, which has now people are like, I mean, that shows this is what we think of women as a country. And now it's starting to trickle down where it's just like, let's just say we put Harvey Weinstein. Let's just say we finally catch Roman Polanski, put him in prison. We catch every sexual abuser, and Trump's still president. It's like, well, yeah, you got the little guys, but ultimately you gave the pretty much the leader of the free world, you gave that job to someone who openly admitted doing things like this.
Yeah, but I mean, and I'm not defending the man. Trust me, I'm not. But I don't think Trump ever really admitted to saying, I mean, he just said it was like, what do you call it? Locker room talk, right? So, like, dude. But there was I'm just saying, I'm not defending him. Trust me, I'm not. But what I'm saying is, the guy still won. And it was just locker room talk. He just blew it off. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But nobody, even if he said, I did it, it wouldn't have affected his numbers.
And it has, and apparently it hasn't. I mean, depending on what you look at. I mean, you know what? That's not true. I mean, I think that he's doing, without getting into politics, because trust me, I don't want to turn this into a political thing. And I don't feel, I feel a little too biased to really go down that road. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I really don't think I can say much positive things about him, many positive things about him. But the studies are, saying that he could be the most unpopular president in the history of the country. But the thing is that it's not necessarily about that. And this guy is too busy. He's too busy putting his foot in his mouth and pissing people off left and right. Right. So it kind of like almost masks all that other stuff, but it's still there.
It sucks because it didn't take that to put him down. It took other stuff to get his poll numbers to go down. I mean, it's a terrible situation we're in. However, like say with Weinstein, his brother, like when they first made a contract, in this contract, there was a stipulation saying Weinstein had in his contract, quote, his employment could not be terminated over sexual harassment claims if he paid off women to silence them. In his contract for the Weinstein Company.
For real?
That is insanity. That is insanity.
Now, I'm going to be very careful. Do me a favor. Read that to me one more time before I put my foot in my mouth.
Here we go. Harvey Weinstein, quote, this is from The Telegraph, quote, Harvey Weinstein had a contract drawn up in 2015 in which the board of his film company could not terminate his employment over sexual harassment claims if he paid off women to silence them, as long as he paid out the money himself, according to reports, quote, unquote.
Wow. That's like as dirty as it gets right there. I mean, that is acknowledgement crazy. Right up front.
Mm-hmm. It's insanity, dude, because he smelled what was coming down the pike. He saw that people were falling left and right, Cosby, all these people, and he's like, oh, snap. And quote, another quote, the fine to the company was on a sliding scale, the TMZ reported, $250,000 for the first payout, $500,000 for the second instance, and $750,000 for the third, and $1 million for each additional instance. He had, unquote, he has to pay it out of his own pocket, but if he does, he cannot be terminated.
I mean,
it's insanity.
I don't even know what to say.
It's insane.
It's dumbfounding, bro.
It is insane. And mind you, this doesn't preclude him or protect him from legal problems. It only means he can't be fired from his company. That's it.
That's too much, man. I mean,
it's crazy.
But
it's
the amount of people that have to be behind something like that. Now, just in case less people think that we're kind of drifting, which in a way I guess we kind of are, but I want to get back to it because we were talking about, is it okay to continue to like the art? Is it, forgiving a celebrity for the sake of art? Yes. The amount of people that had to go into doing something like that.
Yes.
It's insane. So it's like don't ask, don't tell, or I don't know, man. That blows my mind. I was not aware of that, Steve. You kind of just caught me off guard on that one.
It caught me off guard too, because I was like, when I heard it on one of the podcasts I listened to, a political podcast, and I was like, that can't be true. And the funny thing is, of course it was true, because they're gonna fact check only because if they're wrong, they could be sued or whatnot. Now, for me, I think that that's not even the worst of it. I think the worst of it was the fact that he just did it. But again, coming back to, if I'm going to say I'm holding myself to a perfect situation, I'm not talking about Michael I never liked Michael Jackson. I never liked the Beatles. I never liked Bill Cosby. I never liked these people that hit their wives or sexually abused people. I only liked Weinstein, but I need to hold myself up to this huge, massive stipulation, right? That means I couldn't watch The Libertine, Hoodwinked, Lucky Number 11, Scary Movie, Clerks 2, The Protector,
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. I mean, it goes.
That one hurts. That one hurts alone, man.
Grindhouse. Black Sheep, dude.
But the thing is, with each of these movies that we're putting out, yes, Harvey Weinstein's behind it.
He's the man. He's the man
that allowed these movies to be made. But they were made by various people. I mean, we're Quentin Tarantino. True. Quentin Tarantino was in the news recently.
True.
What was the quote old Quentin had? I think I actually pulled that there because I was a little
disturbed.
A little disturbed would be a good way of saying it, because basically in a nutshell here, here's the quote. And this is actually off of MSN.com. Basically, the simplest quote is, I knew enough to do more than I did. Quentin Tarantino.
That's a lot.
On Harvey Weinstein.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. But they're going over a whole, we're just sitting here trying to figure out, is it okay to like a song after someone does something like this? These guys have to make the moral decision of, is it okay give up my morals or to look the other way for the sake of my personal gain? For the sake of putting out something that I've had a dream of for all this time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's a huge decision to make. And that's definitely, man, that's definitely says a lot about people. Just in general. I mean,
a lot of them knew. And here's the worst part. The people knew that if you did stand up to Harvey Weinstein, it's over. He had the power at one point to end your career. You will not even get off first base without his okay. If you had the misfortune of having an audition in front of him and he could make your career and you say, no, I'm not going to do what you asked me to, you will never get work in this town. Chances are he could make it happen unless he happened to forget. He could make it so that you will never work in this town again, bro. Ever. So you have to make your decision. Am I going to sit here and give him a massage? Am I going to watch him jack off in front of me? Am I going to do these things? Just to get ahead, just to get going.
I mean, that's the thing is that's something that they have to live with for the rest of their lives, and hopefully it was, listen, I don't want to make this sound weird. Okay. Because I'm definitely not on the Weinstein side, and I'm definitely I'm going to put that out there right now for the sake of this here. Cause if I flub this shit, I'm not this kind of a person. And this is episode 1. I don't want to screw this up, but these are decisions that are being made by these individual women to do this type of a thing. This is their career. They didn't walk away from it there. That's like a level of power that I can't comprehend right there. Do you know what I mean?
Crazy.
That's because, I can either choose to do this movie that may change my life. Maybe it won't, but probably it's going to do a lot. It's going to do more than me not doing the movie.
Yes.
Or I walk away from it completely.
Totally. This is huge. That's huge.
They had to take that into consideration. Like, this person has probably done this to a whole bunch of other people. Is it okay to support this for the sake of personal gain?
That's the secret you just hit on the head. they didn't just, you didn't just do it to one. If you got caught with one, it's the equivalent of, I don't know Star Wars, but I do know there's the sand creature with its tentacle sticking out of the sand.
Oh, yeah.
The one person you find is that tentacle. Yeah, there we go. The one person that he gets found with, or that comes out, or that he gets caught with, that's the tentacle in the out of the sand. But underneath that, guaranteed, there are tons that what are the chances that was the only person? Hell no. Like and that's why when you say there's a lot of people he did that to, that's what you can't just sit there and say, I won't watch his movie because Lupita Nyong'o got harassed. It wasn't just her. It was Asia Argento. Not only, and Asia Argento admitted she just let him do to her what he wanted to do. And check this out, quote, Asia Argento, the movie actress, is facing pushback in her home country after speaking out about an alleged rape at the hands of Harvey Weinstein. Public opinion in Italy has sided more with Weinstein than Argento. So she has to flee. Gee, can you believe? It's unbelievable, dude. You've caused an actress. That's how powerful this guy is. This is how powerful Weinstein is. And so when we're talking about, is it okay to listen to a person's art? The reason I'm so fiery about no, it's not, is because you're not just affecting the one person. A bunch of people have been affected by this person. You're actually sticking up and making a point to stick up for every single one of the people he's done over the 20 years or 30 years he's been doing this. And you're saying, you know what? I won't participate in it. You're not doing anything participating directly, but you're saying, I wash my hands of giving this person money. I'm done. People will make the excuse. They'll say, hey, but you're also giving, the assistant directors and the writers and the editing room and the people that use the mics and the people that build the sets, and they're making all this money. And so you're taking money away from them. Maybe. But that means that if OJ writes a book, I don't want to take money from the editor. That doesn't sound cool, does it? You're going to be like, oh, stop it. Well, then you can't say it for the other people then. There's a lot of people that are going to make money off an OJ book too, but you're saying I wouldn't buy it. Why? Because you know it's bad. So just don't. And I'm talking to myself here too. We're all going to still watch shady crap, but just don't tell yourself it's okay. You watch it knowing I shouldn't be doing this. Hey, be real.
It's a dark concept to think about, man. Seriously. Hey, you know what, real quick, I wanted just to really, really stress that right there. I wasn't saying it was okay that these women did these things. I mean, they're in a really fucked up situation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's and I'm not saying they got what's coming to them, and I'm not saying anything like that.
No.
And I'm, and even when I say these words, they made the decision to do that. I'm not talking about fuck them because they get nothing like that. They get what they deserve. Nothing like that. That's the level of power that this dude had. And everyone's been calling him a monster. He is a monster. You know what I mean?
He's a monster.
But that's just this level of human nature that I think is very interesting that we've kind of touched upon is where, I mean, I think it's just, it's the simple need to, man, I really want to be careful with this. I'm a little nervous to say all this shit, but no, it's you know what I mean? but it's no, seriously. Like, I mean, kind of know what I want to say. It's, we make these decisions, the decisions that were made, I should say, were for self-gain, and how much silence throughout that whole community, how much stuff are we still going to hear that hasn't been brought up yet? You know what I mean? Sure. It's amazing to me, but that's that. I think, kind of getting back to what the main subject is, why is it okay? Yeah. It's not okay. That's the thing. It's not. I don't know. It's just crazy. But we're still going to continue. Yes, we're still going to continue to do that. I mean, my only
ask is to acknowledge that what you're doing is not cool. That's it. Acknowledge it so that piece of your brain that still clings on to we can't support bad people is still there. Don't let it go. That's all.
I mean, it's ugly. You think about someone like, say, Corey Feldman. Yes. And I think that's going to start coming out a lot more now, too, is, this is sort of taking precedence. This Weinstein situation is taking precedence right now. But let's not even overlook the whole, it's still regarding sexual assault, but now we're talking about pedophilia in the movie industry.
Yeah.
You know, and he said years ago that this was going on, and no one really touched anything on it, you know? Yeah, we got your Roman Polanskis and we got your Woody Allens, but Woody Allen's still making movies.
Yes, they're true.
So I guess you're just sort of left now with what you can do to rise above it. Let's take, like, say, Kevin Smith. Mm-hmm. So you and I both were kind of talking, you know, off mic about this for a while, wondering when Kevin Smith was going to say something. I mean, he's kind of, would you say, for the sake of this conversation, he's kind of a hero to us, right? I mean, we're inspired by his podcasting. We're inspired by the movies he's made, and we dig Kevin Smith, is what I'm getting at.
Of course.
But I think that you and I both were a little, I mean, I think, to be honest, I think we both kind of jumped the gun a little too quickly, but we were both sort of surprised that he didn't say anything at first. He said, oh, what was it? Because I remember we had this conversation, and he basically just said that, so Kevin Smith says, you know, that he comes out at first, and he said that he was ashamed, you know, that Harvey Weinstein financed his films. And he said, matter of fact, I'll read his tweet. He said, he financed the first 14 years of my career. And now I know while I was profiting, others were in terrible pain. It makes me feel ashamed. So when we first read that, we didn't feel it was enough. But then he comes out later, and he was on Hollywood Babylon. And, he kind of broke down. Now, I know Kevin Smith cries a lot. Just in general, you could watch The Flash and cry. But, you know, he kind of broke down on this one here, you know, and he's in a situation where he didn't know, according to Kevin Smith, he didn't know this was going on. He didn't get that kind of treatment. He didn't see that side of Weinstein. You know, I've got no choice but to, you know, go with what he, you know, I don't want to believe Kevin Smith, you know, but he's feeling terrible about it. And he's actually taken a stand. And I thought this was pretty cool, man, that he's just recently announced that he's going to take all of the the residuals from all the movies that he's made, such as Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Clerks, and he's going to be donating, I think he said $2,000 a month from his residuals to Women in Film, which is a nonprofit organization supporting female filmmakers. I think that's pretty cool. He's doing what he can, you know what I mean? But he's kind of like washed his hands of Weinstein now. And I think that's cool. That's, you know, kind of like what we're saying here. Is it okay to like that? He's like, no, fuck that. I'm sort of ashamed of these movies now, but this is what my livelihood is. This is how I'm eating. This is what made me, you know, viable and interesting to what you're reading today, what you're hearing me. That's his outlet. We wouldn't have no Kevin Smith if it wasn't for Harvey Weinstein, you know, but he's washed his hands of it. So I think that's way classy, man. I haven't seen too many people doing that so far, but I
think that's awesome.
I do think that, though, when we were just talking at first, I think that we didn't really give him enough chance to think. I mean, he's a person, you know what I mean? Like, that's a huge thing. And now, after hearing him talk about that on Babylon, I don't know if I could just come right out and give this statement, especially if I'm in a different situation, such as the situation he's saying. You know, I was kind of completely removed for this here, but I was benefiting from this. He doesn't want it anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking babbling, dude. But I just thought that was really classy of him to do that. You know what I mean? But it is. But, you know, then you go back to what we were talking about before. Even though there was no legal action that really happened with Michael Jackson, there are a lot of people that made these claims. I mean, there was a lot of behavior, a lot of things they found afterward that didn't necessarily prove it to be true, but sort of steered it into the direction that, you know, he was mentally unstable, man. And he did like kids. You know, I don't want to even call him a pedophile because it wasn't anything that was legally documented, but he allegedly liked children. Let's just say that.
Yes.
But Thriller comes on. What do you do?
Exactly. Well, what should I do?
You know, there's a movie called 13 Going on 30. I'm thinking about this particularly because I just said Thriller. It's a Jennifer Garner movie. Uh-huh. And there's this big scene where they have like this full on Thriller, it's like a Christmas party or something like that, and everyone's dancing to Thriller. They're celebrating the song Thriller is basically what I'm getting at. Run the Jewels did something with somebody. It wasn't really Run the Jewels per se, but it was an artist that did a big, I think you've seen that before, right? Where it's like the pistol and the fist, but it's like Thriller style. My point is that it's still being celebrated.
Of course.
So it's just something that I guess we're just going to do. That's just a fucked up answer to it. That's just, we're going to do it if we like to, you know? There's
no question. I mean, again, I mean, I think we've both come to the same conclusion that it's not okay. And I think there's an undeniable no, it's not okay. I think people will I'm sure people will come up with amazing, great arguments for why it is okay. But deep down somewhere in their brain, they know we're just making a really good argument why it's okay when it's really not. People are going to say, well, America was founded on a bunch of murder. Should we all leave? I mean, technically, you know what I'm saying? It's not ours. You know what I'm saying? Technically, it's not ours. But in a perfect world, when you do something horrible like sexual abuse or a domestic violence, your career is over. Your career is over, but that is not the world we live in. So individually, the only thing we can do is make our little dot in the world and say, and I'll even go this far. I'm not telling you what to do, but if you're going to do it, rip it. Maybe a person could rip it from somewhere. Be like, you know what? I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to give you money.
I was going to bring that up. Actually.
I'm at least not going to give you money for this joint. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, it's not right. That's my opinion. It's not right. What's your solid yay or nay, sir?
No, I mean, it's funny that you say that because I was actually I've kind of backed off of saying that, but is that the way we stick it to him? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, hey, I like your stuff, but you did some terrible things. So I'm not going to pay for it. That's how I'm going to make myself feel. It's simply just making yourself feel better about it.
Totally.
Totally.
So,
when we first started talking about this, sorry, Steve, I just want to say when we first started talking about this, even when we were just talking about what we were going to say, I wasn't really sure where it was going to go because I think that on the surface, we already knew the answer to the question.
Of course.
But it is something to talk about there. What do you guys think? Is there anybody out there that you listen to that you think is, I don't know, let's throw somebody out there. Give me somebody where there's like real proof of these things. Okay, let's take Bill Cosby. Okay, Bill Cosby right there. Do you continue? It's hard because he's not super relevant anymore. But you know what I mean? Like he's still not putting out work. You can't say, would you still watch Ghost Dad? Nobody watched Ghost Dad, Steve. No one watched Ghost Dad.
I did.
Oh shit, you would. But
I liked it.
Do you still enjoy The Cosby Show? Do you still enjoy Cosby himself, which is a classic?
Jesus, dude.
That's a classic piece of film.
For every stand-up comic, if you ask them, what are the best 4 or 3 stand-up routines, himself is going to be on their list. It's it. It's just the real.
I mean, to this day, you'll still every once in a while hear someone do the "Dad is great, give us a chocolate cake," or the the dentist skit when he goes to the dentist with the
fiber.
Yeah, it's all Do you smell the fiber? Look, we're laughing right now. We're celebrating Bill Cosby as we talk right now. That's the crazy part. But fact of the matter is, he was a bit of a cocktailsman.
Totally. That's it. And so yes, please let us know what you think. I mean, do you think it's okay? Do you think people should do this, or not should do? Should we listen to the music? Should we support what they do? And if you do believe we should, explain. If you don't, explain. Either email us or send us a voicemail. We're going to give you all that information before we leave here. And please, also, if you want to give us a subject that you'd like us to discuss. If there's something that you're like, you know what, this is an interesting conversation that I would like to hear about an hour or so on to dissect, please do this, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to cut through the noise, the obvious Weinstein, Quentin Tarantino, Bill Cosby, blah, blah, blah. We're trying to cut through that and actually get to the substance and pull something very interesting out. So please give us a call. But before we leave and give you all that information, Dan has, we both have clothing thoughts. So, Dan, what clothing thoughts do you have for us today?
Well, Steve, I'm disgusted with the human race, basically. No, I'm just kidding. After talking about that there, I mean, I guess it really is what we've come to the conclusion about is that, as people, we're going to just like what we like. And we do have this ability. Not everyone has this ability. Some people will just straight up boycott things. But I think your average person, especially someone that's into, media, pop culture, things like that, you establish these loves for things early in life. And then down the road, you find out that maybe they're done by a horrible person. Are you able to put them on the shelf? at least from these two guys talking, I think that it's something that it's an ugly part of ourselves that we still do. Now, don't get me wrong, man. I think it also depends on the level of the crime. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm incriminating myself with this shit right now, but it's true. I'm being honest right now. You know, I mean, I think that if it was someone, let's see, someone I'm really into, for instance. Okay, like we were talking about that guy from Faith No More, Mike Patton, right? Huge hero of mine, the guy that did the 1922 film score. Huge hero of mine. But if he went out and killed, 20 people, did something, not to make light of it or anything like that, but, did something on the level of like the Las Vegas shooting, I really don't think that I could continue to support someone like that. I think I would just drop everything. But I'm being honest, if something that's been, there's just been so many times, especially when I was a kid, you know how many like times I rocked out to those things in my car or know every lyric of a song or certain songs, when you listen to a song and it like gives you the chills, yes. Raises the hair on your arms.
Totally.
Right? Because that's a thing, right? I don't know if I would be able to not get those chills still. So it's an ugly part about myself that I'm really going to have to kind of look into right here. You know what I mean? And by the way, guys, I wanted to tell you that this isn't always going to be like a deep thing like this. This is something that is very relevant right now, and it's something that we were talking about, and we decided to, make a show out of it. But, it's not always going to be so deep in these type of subjects right here, especially if you're used to listening to our other show where we just simply go, and then did you see after the commercial when they did this? And I can't believe Jesse Custer did that and blah, blah, blah. It's not, this is different for us here. And so it's weird to actually start talking into a microphone and talking about this kind of thing. It's not always going to be this way. But I've come to the conclusion, at least for now, that it's just an ugly part of humanity it's just something that we allow ourselves to do. And, I guess that all makes us a little bit ugly, man. I don't know. Hey, good night, everybody. Thanks for thanks for listening to Happy Time Theater with Steve and Dan. Really, man, we chose a subject that's, it's pretty fucked up. And so that's my answer. I don't even know if I could truly give you a full answer on that. It's like, it really just depends on the level of the crime involved. It's not like I want to go out and continue to support anything. Weinstein's out of the picture now. Like, he's fired from his company, and so he's kind of a moot point. But if Pulp Fiction comes on in the next 24 hours and I happen to just be flipping through the channels, there's a good chance I'm probably going to watch it. And I don't know how I feel about that, man. So, human beings are imperfect. And I think that at least in the context of this conversation, I think that we've proven that.
True.
What do you? What say you, Steve?
All right. You know what? My closing statement is going to be a little bit tangential, but given what we've been talking about in the last 2 weeks, there's been a few things that I've noticed. One of them is the Me Too hashtag. The Me Too hashtag is freaking heartbreaking. It's freaking heartbreaking.
Right.
And what that brings me to do is my closing argument is, men, we have to do better. We have to do better. We have to be better. Me Too is a call to men to shut up and listen. Not to sit there and be like, well, why didn't you say something earlier? Why didn't you say that? Why did you? It's a call to us to shut up and listen, because we have been doing a terrible job. Number one, check it out. Look at the NFL. Now, mind you, my situation with Colin Kaepernick is I believe that he had the right to kneel, and all those things are perfectly legitimate. However, we did not decide to boycott the NFL when there were a bunch of players beating their wives or beating their girlfriends or knocking them out. We decided when it applied to us, oh crap, I don't think that that's right, that's injustice. Then we boycott the NFL. But what about all those women? We didn't do it for them because we're men and we don't care, essentially. We have to do better. We have to start listening. We have to make points. We have to say, you know what, this person is wrong, and we got to stop listening to their stuff. And even if you don't stop listening to their stuff, you have to say it's wrong that I do this then. We have to be better men. We have to make our women, the women in this society, feel at least safe around us. The catcalling has to chill. The hey, darling, hey, girl, come on, pulling on their jacket has to chill. All these things have to just go out. It's time to stop. So my call to every man within the sound of my voice, now I know we don't have 1 billion people following us, but my closing statement is, men, let's do better. Please, let's do better. That's it.
That's great, man. I mean, you made me feel like a complete heel because I went down the wrong road.
No,
I'm just kidding.
About?
I'm kidding. You know, I guess, I don't know. I really like what you just said right there. And it's not that I completely stand by what you just said. It's just that I was like talking about, you know, well, it's kind of an ugly situation and it's probably going to be this way.
No.
You know, and I don't want to be seen that way, brother. I really don't.
You're not, bro. You're not at all.
You tapped into my insecurity on episode 1, man.
This dude. All right. Ladies and
no, hold up real quick, man. Real quick. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I like what you said. You know what I mean? I'm done with my final word, if you will, but I do like what you said. And you're right. If I may piggyback on that right there, you know, and I'm doing this as a father now. You know, I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and the catcalling thing. I mean, I've experienced that firsthand. You know, and you're right. We do need to chill on that kind of shit like that. You know, this is a lot of stuff. This is all the behavior that was learned from a different time.
Totally.
You know, I mean, just think about the movies, the movies in the 1950s where it was okay just to quiet you and smack somebody, you know, smack a woman. Not to, you know, well, hell no, let's bring it up. We're talking about it. Sean Connery at one point said in time, you know, I forget what the quote was, but he was talking to Barbara Walters and he said that, you know, every woman needs a good slap, or it was something like that.
Lord,
you know, and that's wild. That's behavior that was inherited from our fathers.
It's true.
You know, maybe not our fathers, but you know,
totally.
Fathers. Yes. Or last generations, you know, the prior generations like that. So it's something that is going to be, it's going to take a while to filter that out, I think, like that. But you hit the nail on the head, man, is that we got to do better. You know, seeing the magnitude of the Me Too hashtag,
Jesus,
what that did and what it brought out, and people that were brave enough, women, I should say, that were able to do that. You know, I said people because men were doing it too. I mean, that's the thing, you know, and it's an ugly situation, but yeah, there's something that's going on right now with the world that we need to really kind of like reset. It's time for us to reset and start being better individuals, or who the hell knows what road we're going to go down in the near future, man. And I know that I want my kids personally to come up with respect. I've trained them to be that way. You know what I mean? I've raised them, I should say, to be that way, to be respectful. And, all I can do is do my part. You know what I mean?
True. Now, at this point, we can't look at leadership to do it for us. We got to look at each other. You know, a lot of times you see all we have is us. A lot of times that happens, you know, we refer to it as people of color, which is true. A lot of times all we got is us. But as an American society, seeing who's sitting in the seat of the Oval Office, unfortunately, considering, you know, what we're talking about here, all we got is us. All we can do is look to each other to be the example that we want our kids to see. I want to be able to have my son be like, hey, I ran into Dan. And I know whatever Dan is doing, I don't mind my son seeing that because I trust Dan. I know Dan. You know what I'm saying? I know that he would know that I wouldn't do anything crazy. If his daughter saw me, he'd be like, oh, I know Steve wasn't doing anything crazy. Imagine if you could do that with 80% of America, where you'd know, oh, I know that because my local neighborhood, we know each other and I'm not worried about something happening to her. And we can make that change. Now, this is on a grand scale, but people, if we do better, the world will do better. And that is it. And I'm just going to finish off with our contact information. And you can hit us up on, if you have anything to say about our wonderful show, our amazing kickoff episode 1, hit us up at heroesofnoisepodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's heroesofnoisepodcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at Heroes of Noise. Again, it's at Heroes of Noise. Hit Amazing Dan, the awesome Dan at Dan Q Public on Twitter. You can hit me up at s.e._Hudson Music. Hit us up at our voicemail at 559-492-9831, 492-9831. Hit us up, leave us a voicemail. And until that wonderful time, I am Steve.
My name is Dan. And ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to your friendly neighborhood Heroes of Noise. Thank you very much for listening to us on episode 1. Who the hell knows what's going to come up on episode 2? But I trust you folks. I know that you're going to come back. And I hope that you can trust us too, because we do plan on bringing you a kick-ass show. We're just figuring things out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me and Steve.